Federal government denies false claims of religious genocide.
Nigerians assured of steady supply of petroleum products and amid Naira dispute.
Nigerian Railway Corporation announces resumption of Abuja-Kaduna train service.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, our focus is on government's technical and vocational education initiative.
Over the past few months, a quiet shift has been taking place in Nigeria's education space.
And in May, the federal government rolled out the Technical and Vocational Education Training Program, TVET, designed to give young people practical skills that can actually use whether they are employed or in a small business.
This initiative doesn't just cover a single course, but is an entire pathway, and tuition is fully covered with a monthly stipend to ease living cost.
The trainings are delivered by professionals in renewable energy, construction, automotive, technology, digital media, and so on.
And many more. At the end, there is a recognized certificate, a startup pack, and even access to low-interest loans. So each graduate can put their training to work straight away.
Indeed, and with a new curriculum now in place for the 2025-2026 academic year, the Ministry of Education says TVET is meant to match real industry needs.
So what difference could this make for young Nigerians and employers? We have a panel of experts joining us shortly to speak to all the issues. Welcome to Good Morning Nigeria, the first of the week. We are live on the NTA. I am Ademola Adioye.
And I am Jumwa Yusuf. Welcome you to the program. Newspaper Review will get to you shortly. But first, let's take the news. Comfort Amadu will be giving us the latest stories making the trends. Good morning, Comfort.
Good morning, Jumai and Ademola. Good morning, Nigerians. Let's start with the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, who has departed New York, United States, after successfully representing President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly. During his participation at the UNGA 80, Shettima secured UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres' commendation for Nigerians' bid for a permanent UN Security Council seat. He also showcased Nigerians' $200 billion energy transition opportunity to global investors and strengthened strategic partnerships with the UK on trade, defense and migration issues. The Vice President delivered President Tinubu's national statement calling for UN reforms and a permanent seat for Nigeria at the UN Security Council. Even as he demanded Africa's control over its $700 billion mineral wealth and digital inclusion initiatives, he also engaged with the Gates Foundation on healthcare and education expansion, positioning Nigeria as the natural hub for the African Continental Free Trade Area's $3.4 trillion market. The Vice President was seen off at John F. Kennedy International Airport, New York, by cabinet ministers who were part of the UNGA 80th delegation and Nigerian mission officials. He will return to Nigeria immediately after an engagement in Germany. And back home, Nigeria's Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, has strongly condemned and refuted allegations by some international platforms and influencers suggesting that terrorists in Nigeria are engaged in a systematic genocide against Christians. According to him, terrorist groups attack all who reject their murderous ideology, Muslims, Christians, and non-religious alike, and portraying the situation as a targeted campaign against one faith plays into the hands of criminals seeking to divide Nigerians. Idris stressed that under President Bola Tinubu's leadership, government remains committed to degrading terrorist groups, securing lives and property, and working with international partners to address the global threats of terrorism. He disclosed that between May 2023 and February 2025, more than 13,543 terrorists and criminals were eliminated and nearly 10,000 hostages are rescued in multiple military operations, including the capturing of top leadership of Ansaru, Nigerian's Al-Qaeda affiliate. He added that the armed forces and police have prosecuted 7 batches of Boko Haram suspects, securing over 700 convictions with an 8th cycle underway, while also holding security personnel accountable through court-martials and prosecutions. Nigeria, he said, is a multi-religious state where Christianity is neither endangered nor marginalized and continues to export interfaith harmony models such as the Interfaith Mediation Center, whose co-founders recently received the inaugural Commonwealth Peace Prize. He urged international media to respect facts and support Nigeria's ongoing fight against terrorism rather than spread sensational and divisive narratives. Nigerian Police Force National Center Bureau of Interpol, NCMB, has arrested and handed over a notorious Beninese fugitive, Sunday Kotin, to authorities in Benin Republic. Kotin wanted for armed banditry, arms smuggling, cattle rustling, and drug trafficking fled into Nigeria after 7 members of his syndicate were arraigned in Benin. Acting on credible intelligence, operatives of the NCMB tracked and arrested him in Idi Iroko, Ogun State, before transferring him to Interpol Cotonou. Meanwhile, the Inspector General Police Kayode Egbetokun commended the officers involved, stressing that Nigeria will never be a safe haven for fugitives. He reaffirmed the force's commitment to upholding the rule of law, safeguarding national sovereignty, and strengthening international policing cooperation. Away from that, Nigerian Railway Corporation has announced the resumption of train services along the Abuja-Kaduna corridor this week. A statement signed by Calisters said the NRC's Chief Public Relations Officer indicates that train services will resume on Wednesday, October 1, following the completion of repairs and safety checks on the affected section of the track at Asham Station. The NRC assures that it prioritizes passengers' safety and comfort and regrets the inconvenience caused by the suspension of train services due to the derailment incident. And the statement further says that the NRC has refunded ticket fees to 512 out of 583 passengers who were on board the affected train on the 26th of August this year. The federal government has appealed to the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, Pengasan, to suspend its planned strike scheduled for today, Monday 29, over its dispute with Dangote Refinery. A statement by the Head Information and Public Relations of the Ministry, Patience Onuabi, notes that the Minister of Labour and Employment, Mohammed Migari Dingyadi, said on Sunday that the ministry has invited both Pengasan leadership and Dangote Refinery management to an emergency meeting in its office for conciliation, urging the union to withdraw its strike notice to allow for peaceful resolution. Meanwhile, the federal government has assured Nigerians of a steady supply of refined petroleum products, dismissing concerns about disruptions in the downstream oil sector. This follows recent concerns over the Naira for crude oil arrangements for a dispute between the Dangote Refinery and the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria and the Steering Committee of the Domestic Crude Oil and Refined Products Sales in Local Currency. initiative chaired by Finance Minister Wale Edun met to address these issues and reaffirm that there will be no disruption in the supply of refined petroleum products across the country. And the committee also assured that the crude oil for the Naira initiative will continue and all outstanding issues are being addressed with urgency. And in good faith, the meeting had in attendance key stakeholders, including the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Senator Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, FRS Chairman Zach Adedeji, and representatives from NNPC Limited, CBN, Afrexim Bank, and Dangote Refinery. Our reports are just reaching us says it indicates that the PIT, that of the federal government, has deployed a rescue team to a collapsed mine pit in Zamfara State, and 13 people have been confirmed dead, while 2 are still trapped in the building. We'll bring you details of that report in our subsequent bulletin, but meanwhile, let's stay tuned for Good Morning Nigeria with Ademola and Jume right after this commercial break. Good morning.